is we are going to start again with the head and neck. We're always going to do an assessment. The reason for you always to do an assessment is you don't know where you're going if you don't know what you're looking for in this type of stuff. So if you just hunt and peck, and I'll say this with anything, if you set up a workout plan on your own or whatever, or even that I help you set up or something like that, but you don't really know what you're looking for at the end, if we never plan, oh, I want to be able to lift 20 pounds, but we never actually put any weight in your hands, it's going to be difficult for you to know if you can ever get to 20 pounds. It just will be if you never actually test it by putting 20 pounds in your hands. If you lift just sand in your hands, it won't make a difference. The same thing as when you do, go ahead and shut the back door. The same thing when you do stuff that connects you to your body. If you don't listen to what your body is telling you that's there, you won't know if you bypass it, or maybe you won't make a connection to why and how it worked. The beautiful and somewhat beneficial thing of the aspirin is that we've been told that it takes away the headache. We take it and it seems to take away the headache. The problem is that the headache comes back, we have to take another aspirin. The issue is, it's not the aspirin that keeps the headache away, or that brings the headache back, it's what we do to ourselves. So we need to find ways to actually listen to ourselves and figuring out, oh, why do I have a headache? It's because I'm hanging my head all down like this all day long. Or something down deep inside my body is disconnected from my body. Remember, we are a system. We are not parts. We are not just a head accidentally shoved on top of a set of shoulders or whatever. Every muscle that attaches to your head and neck is also attached someplace into your body. So if your head and neck is really sore and tight, then all these muscles that are pulled up or down are pulling against those organs as well and giving those organs out of position. Well, you put your organs out of position long enough, your body's going to be out of position longer. Those organs all have ligaments attaching them and pulling on them. All those organs and ligaments touch the spine. All that spine touches the brain. The brain's telling you something's wrong. The problem is the body has no obligation to make any sense to you. So you have to start listening to it. You can't just assume, and even if you go to the doctor very often, you can't just assume the headache is only having to do with your head. You have to see, oh, if I keep taking an aspirin and thinking that's just going to take the headache away, and it never does, there's probably another problem someplace else. It doesn't matter if you take, and then that can apply to every other medication that you do, that can apply to exercises that you do, that can apply to thoughts that you think. If you think you're stupid and you call yourself stupid in your head, turns out you'll probably believe you're stupid if someone tells you it or it passes you by. And so the same thing, if you keep telling yourself you're sick, you're tired, you're sore, blah, 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 essentially, eventually, your body will start believing it and acting more that way. I'm not saying just because you think you're healthy and you can lift 20 pounds, you can, but I'm saying you sure can't if you don't believe you can. So I've seen it before. Come on, you can lift this. No, I can't. Okay. Come on, you can lift this. All right, I'm going to do it. Boom, and all of a sudden it happens. So a long rabbit trail to explain we are connected not just in our movements, we are connected not just by our organs, we are connected as a system, and we need to listen to what the system is telling us. It doesn't mean you're diagnosing a problem. It doesn't mean you're solving a problem necessarily that needs to be diagnosed. It may just be this is a part of the problem, a part of the solution. Just like the aspirin doesn't fix the headache. All it does is keep the headache from just becoming the problem. And so there's other things beyond the headache. Headache being just a situation. Don't get stuck on the headache thing. So if you don't have a headache, you're like, I don't have any problems then. Good for you. And so, or whatever it is. It's not my problem. I don't have a headache. I blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about it. You have another problem. I guarantee it. And then if you don't think you have a problem, you got a problem. So let me just clean my glasses off in a very terrible way. My last pair of glasses I cleaned off so many times like that. Basically, I think I had changed the prescription on it. All right, so we're going to do a baseline move. So if you can stand, if you're not standing, and or if just standing up is your baseline move, that's totally fine as well. I want you to just either reach in and touch your toes, or do something towards that, and then come back up, And then if you can do it again, so even if you're just sitting in a chair, there's still your toes are on the ground. See if you can reach down towards them. This time reach down and touch your toes. Now notice not just the back line of your body, but kind of how your head drops. What goes on in your mind? How's your belly doing when you do that? Does that feel stiff in an area that seems like it just feels off balance now that I'm down here? And then bring yourself back up and notice as you come up, how do you restabilize? Does that just feel uncomfortable? So give yourself that opportunity to see that. Of course, there's always the movement that I can suggest that can ruin you or wreck you. So hopefully it didn't. And so if you're doing something, if I'm asking you to do something that you know you can't do, you don't have to do it.
I didn't know I couldn't do it till I did it.
Okay.
And then it was like, whoa.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start here with our collarbone. Remember, we always start on the left side. The reason why we start on the left side is that's where everything goes to. So we're just going to feel in, just a little bit of pressure inside, then up above the collarbone, then below the collarbone, then a little firmer and faster, and then we're going to pat 5 times, and we're going to pull down 3 times. And then we'll do the right side with my very, very cold fingers. And we're going to go across the collarbone above it. So that collarbone goes all the way to the sternum and out towards the shoulder. And then we're going to go underneath the collarbone. And then we're going to go a little firmer and a little faster. And then we're going to pat 5 times. And then we're going to pull across toward the sternum on the other side. Then we're going to go to the left underneath the ear and behind the ear and down. And then we're going to pat 5, or then a little firmer, a little faster. And then pat 5 times. And then pull down 3 times. And then the other side, nice and light and gentle from underneath and behind the ear. Be specific as you can. And then tap 5 times. And pull down and across 3 times. Arms. You can feel those spots maybe in there. Maybe there's nothing going on, it just kind of feels like armpit. A little firmer, a little faster. And then you're going to tap 5 times. And then you're going to pull up and in 3 times. And then right side. And then you're going to tap 5 times. And then pull across 3 times. And then sternum from the collarbones down. Just kind of like nice light strokes. And then you're going to go a little firmer, a little faster. You can go in between and to the outside of the sternum where the bones attach to the sternum. And then a little firmer. You might find some tenderness right the center or right above or below the center. That's very typical. And then you're going to tap 5 times. And then you're going to pull up and over 3 times. And then down to your belly. Remember, this is sternochyli, down over about an inch or so, and you might have some tenderness in there. Some days it's a little deeper, some days it's a little bit more shallow. Do the whole belly to the rib cage, to the belly, down kind of inside the pelvis floor just a little bit. A little firmer, a little faster. You can even like squeeze your belly. I know it feels really invasive, but I'm not doing it to you, you're doing it to you. Good, and then pat 5 times. Pull up and over, up and over, up and over. Now, inguinal joint. So, hip bones are at the front here. Inguinal joint is everything that's inside the joint and everything that's behind. So if you have lower back, you've got glute issues, if you've got hip issues, that's all inguinal joint. You've got reproductive organ issues, if you've got lower GI issues, inguinal joint. So you're going to kind of hinge back a little bit so you can get in there. This is the one you kind of don't do in public so much. So if you're in the grocery store line, you feel like you need to give yourself the pat treatment, just do the upper body and really don't do it. So right in there, across that pelvic floor right there, it's just right there. I know it's really awkward again, But it's your body. And then you're gonna pat 5 times, but I'm gonna use karate chop, so I'm not just slapping, but I'm gonna karate chop right in that joint right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm gonna pull up. Sometimes for some people, you can feel little nodules in there, and they aren't just there for your interest. They are actually problems in the lymph. Now, the inner thigh is this big chunky spot from the top of the pelvis back in a triangle down the inner thigh to the knee. Big muscles in there pulling the legs together, but also draining and pulling up into the body. So reach around back towards your butt and then come down into the knee. And that, for a lot of people, is very tender in there. If you hold fat in there, that is an issue. That's typically an issue of lymphatic holding. If you've got issues with incontinence, if you've got lower GI issues, if you've had any kind of cancers and stuff, that'll hold in there as well. And then pat 5 times, and then pull up like you're pulling your pants up. And then back of the knee is the last one. So back of the knee, kind of just above the calf. So here, above the knee, but really behind the knee. Behind the knee is a big tricky one. There's some big spaces, a lot of musculature in there, and it's a liver problem. Typically, pain behind the knees has a lot to do with your liver. And then pat 5 times, and then pull up your back, pull up the inner thigh, pull up the belly, and then bring everything towards the left side. Good. Take your arms up and over your head. So we're going to pull everything up with our breath. Remember, our breath is the biggest movement enabler for the entire body. And now exhale. Inhale up. Exhale. Exhale as much as you can. And exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Then you're just going to hop up and down. So what this is called a pedal pump. And think of it like jumping on a trampoline, or you can just bounce up and down. I do, again, this on a table where I do it to you, and then you just get to kind of lay there, and it kind of feels cool because everything's just kind of moving up the body. But you're not trying to jump, you're just bouncing. And your arms are just kind of bouncing, and you can kind of feel the bouncing in your neck. If it bugs you, do less. You know, if it doesn't bug you, you can do a little bit more. You can actually lift out of your heels. But remember, it's not more is better. It's doing it that finds the consistent pattern that helps. Taking your arms up and then down. So I want you to recheck your baseline. Be careful.
Yep. And
I want you to see how your body's moving again. You may feel very open in the back line of the body. And so again, we did no hamstring stretching. We did no movement to try to touch the toes. We just cleared the fluid movement of the body. You may also notice as you rotate, and we didn't test this, but you may feel good in your rotation, and then you may feel a little bit more open in your arms as they come up over your head. How'd that feel?
Yeah, I feel that.
Good.
It's just the hinge thing.
Sure. So
straight hinge.
Can you bend your knees?
Yeah.
And slide down?
Yeah. Yeah.
How's that feel?
That's good.
Is that better than it was when you first started?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, socks off. We'll put them back on after we do the ball treatment. We're going to do a ball treatment today. Remember, the brain comes to the surface at the skin, and so we want to touch the skin as much as possible. So skin to ball is really important. With the roller, when we do the roller work, skin to roller is nice. If you can't, because you have tights on, your legs are cold, do your best. In the shower is really probably the best way to do this. So you know how we use the toothbrush, and we'll do more of that. But you can actually get a brush. They're called lymphatic drainage brushes. And you can get a brush, and you can do this all with a brush as well. And you start with your sternum, and you go down, and blah, blah, blah. And you don't grind. You're not trying to dig the skin open. You're just trying to find that nice brushing of your skin. And it's actually a little exfoliating too. So you get a little bit of a bonus for the whole thing. All right, so again, we're always looking for a baseline. So feet parallel to each other. When we do the melt technique, we're looking for that, we're looking to not use the common senses, but our body sense, which is learning how to look inside ourselves. Not for what we commonly see with sight and touch, but what we feel inside and what's going on. So take a big deep breath. Focus in at your feet. Notice how your feet touch the ground. What is nice about doing a lymph release is very often things are feeling a little bit more subtle to begin with, but now we're going to look at how the body feels grounded. So notice if you can touch all 10 toes are touching evenly. Notice if the weight on your foot feels distributed between the big toe, pinky toe, and center of heel evenly, or if you feel more of your weight at your toes, your heels, or one foot feels one way and one foot feels another way. That is an important connection. Taking a focused breath, take your attention up through the inner thigh. Focus on the weight of the weight of the calves. If one calf feels more weighted, there's more tenderness on one side. If the calves feel turned in, taking a focused attention to the knees. Notice if the knees feel caved in. Not that they are caved in, they feel caved in. One feels pressed back more than the other. One whole side feels like it's not wanting to straighten. Up into your quadriceps, your glutes, and your hamstrings. Notice if they feel gripped or clenched. Like as if you're holding yourself with your movers. Your movers will clench to overstabilize you when your brain doesn't feel like it's settled inside the body. And then that wears the tissue out, and that holds, and that compresses, and that dehydrates. Dehydration and not breathing are probably the two things that'll lead the fastest to your demise, more so than anything else. Bad thoughts are problematic as well. Just take another big deep breath, lift up all 10 toes. Notice how your body shifts weight. Does it shift weight to the leg that seems more stable and so that your body now has more stability? Does the weight stay even? Taking another big deep breath, drop all 10 toes. Just let it go. Don't try to hold on as you let your breath go. And just kind of notice if your body sways in a big direction to try to recorrect. Good. Go ahead and open your eyes. So what you're looking for is not just, oh, I'm all equal, oh, is this or that, there's pain that I'm totally aware of. Great that you know what you're aware of. You should know what you're aware of. You should know of your imbalances that are always there, or you perceive them as always being there. It's what you're now not always used to paying attention to. Like, oh yeah, I did kind of shift. My weight was all shifted to my right glute. My right glute was tight, but my left glute wasn't. Or whatever is up on your list of things that you're kind of trying to notice. It takes a long time, I promise you, to really notice what the body is doing. We just aren't very good at it. We just go boom, right to where it hurts, not to what our body's trying to give us for information, because the hurt takes so much attention up all the time. Go ahead and take the ball, place it underneath the center of the foot. Let me get the little diagram-y thing out. If you aren't aware or don't know the routine, this is it. So this will give you all those position points. Remember, those position points connect to other areas inside the body. We are not, again, a body that just deals with its own self. Our whole body is connected. So this center part of the foot has a lot to do with your diaphragm, your heart, getting those types of things. It's right through the center of the body. The diaphragm is right through the center of the body. Even when you do it, you may feel like taking a breath, just kind of naturally. Good, go ahead and pause. Keep your weight balanced. The key here is to try to find that balance, even though obviously you have a ball shoved up in the middle of your foot. It's not that you're just trying to lean over away from it. See if you can find balance between your right and left legs without squeezing your glutes. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, take your arms up, keep your legs soft. Exhale, don't clench your hips, roll yourself somewhere, and then roll your body around. So what you're doing here is just telling your joints where your everything is. And so your nervous system and your fluid movement system are all working together. Step your left foot back, put the ball to the knuckle behind the big toe, which would be position point 2. And then come up, and then the knuckle behind the second toe, position point 2 on the second toe, to the third toe, to the fourth toe, and then to the fifth toe. Now, a lot of you guys have done this. I know you've done this a lot. I've done it hundreds of times at this point, and I'm always finding new things. I've never done it multiple times where I've done it the exact same way with the exact same piece of information. We're going to 3B, which is behind the knuckle of the big toe, still on the soft tissue. We're going to the outside edge of the foot, connected into your liver, your kidneys. To the back side of the foot where the arch meets the heel, internal organs, lower GI, pancreas. Pause into there and then move that ball back and forth. So we're gliding. Remember, gliding is a 2-direction movement. Think of the gliding movement almost like you're making kind of small circles, which you're not, but it's just back and forth, looping. Make sure that ball comes all the way to the back of the heel, almost to where the ball is going to pop out from underneath you. Like I always think of like the throat of a frog. And then move that ball back. You want it to touch as much of the surface area of your foot as you can. Bring that ball all the way back to position point 5. And then we're going to shear. Now that shearing is a very tight, like you're rubbing in one spot, but you're not rubbing back and forth. You're tightening up that wiggle so you're just in one spot moving the skin. Kind of see it on my arm? I can move the skin without moving my hand really. Keep those glutes soft. If you're tightening up, try to relax. That's an indicator of instability, of something. If you're always tensing, pause. Just let the tissue respond. Move the ball to position point 2 behind the big toe. Press down. Keep that pressure there. Push to your heel. Position point 2, second toe. Push to the heel. Third toe. Fourth toe. And fifth toe. And then we've got friction. Friction is a multi-directional. This is actually a lymph response to kind of open up the lymph, just kind of like we do that light tap, that light rubbing at the very beginning. Good, go ahead and pause. Let's take the ball to the second foot. Shift side to side. So allowing yourself to feel the weight on both feet. And then slowly get to the point where you are trying to balance. I have a lot more pressure up on this side than I did on the other. My right side felt and left side felt a lot more even as I was standing on the ball. On my left side, which I have sciatic issues on my left side, it's like it's telling the sciatic nerve, we're under kind of a little bit of threat. Not a bad one, but it's just giving me more information. That's it. It doesn't hurt, it just gives me more information. Puts more information back up that nerve line. Go ahead and pause, and then bring the ball to the knuckle behind the big toe, press down. When we do those knuckle point pressure points, we're actually opening up the nerve line, we're opening up the knuckle so more hydration can get through. Remember, hydrating the joint is the more critical part than hydrating the muscle. We want hydration to move easily and fluid to move easily past and around the joints. Position point 3A. And it's not loose fluid. There's not a loose fluid thing going on in your body. It's all inside veins and stuff. It's not just like, you don't just open the body and just fluid pours out, unless you cut a bunch of, veins. But if you just kind of sliced open, you open, cauterize some things off, basically it would be just an intact system. So, and then out to the edge. I know it kind of sounds creepy, but we aren't just liquid just pouring around on the inside. Maybe in your belly, but that's about it. I was watching a video of a guy had like a camelback on, and you could hear him breathing, and that stupid camelback. The entire video, I was like, this is so annoying. Press into position point 5. Pause there for a second and begin to glide that ball back and forth. Remember, as that glide is happening back and forth, you're moving the tissue back and forth. It's like on the back. When someone gives you a massage up the back and down, down on the tissue and so on. You're gliding and directing movement. You're opening up and preparing tissue for deeper instruction without just going in and attacking it. Good, go ahead and pause at the shear. Like people tend to like getting, it used to be a lot of, more so, golf ball, jam it on the bottom of the foot, get rid of the pain. Well, the problem is the pain will stop for a moment because the body's just like, all right, I give it, and then boom, it just comes right back. I say sometimes much harder and much worse. Pause, feel that tingling maybe underneath there, and then rinse. Now rinse is that pushing. So think of it as if, like my friend has a tennis court and they have that thing that shoves the water all to one end of the tennis court, and it's squeegee, and it's like this roller thing, and if you get it going, the water just follows. It doesn't need, it needs it, but it just keeps going, and the water just keeps flowing with the direction of the squeegee. 2 more, and then friction. You may even notice that you're a little thirsty. I do. I know I've been talking though, so that's another part of the thing. All right, and pause. Bring those feet together. Notice the feet. Notice the knees, the hips, the shoulders, diaphragm. Take a nice deep breath. Feel the weight on the feet. Notice if you feel more weight on one side over the other, or if it feels much more grounded now. If the weight is less on your toes than on your heels, or if it feels more grounded now, more stable. From there, your calves, take a deep breath. And notice your calves. Notice if they feel a little bit more plumped up, less just tight. Knees and quadriceps, glutes, and hamstrings, if they're less gripped. Remember, we're not supposed to be standing like a tight soldier. You should be soft. You should have a flow and a movement to your body. And then your glutes, your core, your rib wall. Good. Lift up all 10 toes. And then drop all 10 toes. Notice if you just kind of stand there. Good. Go ahead and open your eyes. Hopefully you feel a little bit better even still. Recheck your baseline if you can. Or as you can for that matter. Good, go ahead and grab your chair if you have one. Turn it so you're facing the back side of the chair. You can put your socks back on, you can get a sip of water. Actually, if you have water, please do get a sip of water. We are a fluid system, that means water flows, fluid flows through the body. Your blood is made up of water, your lymph is made up of water, your nerves need to have that hydration around them. I have several clients and the issues tend to be their hips. We just tend to sit a lot. Even if you think you stand a lot, and even if you stand at your standing desk, you're probably having to tighten your glutes a little bit to keep you standing. It's impossible to stand there and then work and just be all nice and relaxed the entire time. You're working. Even if you're standing, something is all focused out of position. So standing desk isn't the solution for the sitting desk. It's just an opportunity for different. That's it. So give yourself the opportunity to move as much as you can within your chair around your situation. Go ahead and stand behind your chair. Body is nice and tall. Weight is balanced between your hands and your feet and your hips. So the 4 most important spots of the body as far as physiological or as far as mechanical are the feet, pretty much the king of the game as far as movement goes. Then the hips, because that's the biggest blood flow and blood return and stabilizer of the whole upper body above it. Then the diaphragm, because if the diaphragm's not moving, you're not really breathing efficiently. And we all know what happens when you don't breathe efficiently. Essentially, you die. And then the next one is your head, your head and shoulders, or why can't I think of the words? Can't think of it. Your shoulders, your girdle, your shoulder girdle. Sorry, your shoulder girdle. All of these really are what kind of helps all your movement and interacts with above and below it the most efficiently. So, hands on the thing, you're creating connection into your shoulder girdle. Breathing, rib cage, you're breathing through the width of your rib cage, not just your belly, not just your chest. I want you to feel the breath open into your back, like as if you're expanding your back mostly. Your hips should be bouncy and easy. The knees are just the junction between your feet and your hips. If they hurt, I totally understand, but those feet are more complex in a sense, and so is that hip joint area than your knees are, to be real honest. And so, starting here, I just want you to press in and kind of pull your shoulders down and back. So you can't just rise and lift on your shoulders. And I want you to just breathe through the width of your rib cage. We'll do about 5 or 6 more breaths. Now, if it's too much to hinge back and that's tiring to you, walk forward and bend the knees. So don't be in a position of discomfort. So if I ask you to kind of sit back and bend those knees and hold it, but that's not available to you, you step forward, bend the knees and hold it, or forward, whatever it takes. Remember, what I give is suggestions to you. You're going to have to find out what kind of feels better, the same, or a little different for you to give you some information. And then keep pressing into your hands as you lift your head and shoulders. Now, if you keep your hands relaxed and your shoulders relaxed, you won't feel any pull in your neck and your back. But if you can press down and pull your armpits to your body, you're going to feel as you lift your chin this pulling, maybe even down to your navel. And you're going to feel the length, possibly even down to your tailbone. So you're pulling those muscles. You're pulling on those organs. Get long. Now, when they say, oh, just do some head circles and head stretches, but there's no connection to why, in those magazine articles to just kind of get your neck loose, those are great, that's fantastic, but can you do a little bit different? Can you do a little bit better? Turn over and look over your right shoulder and look over your left shoulder. Think about the length of the body as it's doing that. So as you're looking over your left shoulder, you may notice some movement all the way to your right hip and the other direction as well. Good. Head center, and you're just going to shift back and forward. So again, you're shifting back and forward, back and forward. If you can keep that pressure into your hands, in from your shoulders, so it's not just that your hands are pushing down, your elbows are just, that's the end range. It's that your shoulders are pressing down and you feel the weight in your hands. So kind of like a knees rocking on the ground, this is knees rocking above. What a great way to go instead of getting on the ground every part of the day. Everybody has a countertop to their disposal. Everybody has a tree or a wall. Everybody has the ground. So there is no, in a sense, excuse for not lengthening the spine and doing something like this that really connects you to your gait pattern, to your movement pattern. Good, 2 more. And last one, sink back, come forward, walk a little bit forward because you're gonna need to. Keep one hand pressed down on the chair as you lift up the opposite knee. So again, it's a cross crawl, almost like, or a bird dog, almost like we would do on the ground. And I know all of this is super simple. You're just like, I'm so beyond this. I lift weights or whatever, but really, do you actually focus in on what's happening? Do you notice that right shoulder is connected to your left hip, which is also passing by your stomach and your spleen and your pancreas? Do you notice as you rotate a little bit, it's tight in your liver a little bit? Do you notice your foot on your right side, your hip on your left side, your shoulder on your right side? The body moves in an X pattern, not in a straight lines only. 2 more, and last one. Good, standing nice and tall. Take your right hand to the chair and rotate, facing your left. And then take your left hand to the chair and rotate. Right hand to the chair and rotate. So remember also what I said, your brain comes to the surface at the skin. So we're touching the ground with our feet and our hands to the chair. So we're just giving a lot more information to our nervous system. It gives us more stability and it balances us more. 2 more. And rotating really is an in place, almost walking. 2 more, or last one, each side. Good. Go ahead and sit in your chair. Sit to the edge of your chair. If your chair is really cushy, just be aware of that you're not just sagging into it. Sit on top of it as tall as you can. Place your hands to the tops of your knees. Breathing, and then hinge forward. So as I hinge forward, I want to think of pulling my elbows back towards my rib cage, and I'm stabilizing, almost like I'm doing a push-up. This would be the most basic push-up you could do, and back up. And I'll say this, I know when we get sick, whatever sick means, we tend to do the least invasive thing. And I'll tell you this, the least thing that you can do to your body to help your body is breathe. It just is. Breathing deeper, breathing in patterns, doing as much deep breathing as you can. And not just breathing into the belly, remember, but breathing to fill the back, like as if the back is where everything is. 1 more time, and then back up. You're gonna take your right leg and you're gonna cross it over your left knee and sit up nice and tall. So again, it's not knee up as best you can. You wanna think of knee across the midline. You wanna really work on getting that leg level. And then that heel underneath you, 90 degrees as best you can. So you don't want this way turned back because then you're pulling at your pelvis. You want that heel underneath the knee and then your body nice and tall. Keep the foot flexed of the leg that's over. I want you to just put your left hand on your left upper thigh, your right hand on your right upper thigh and press out and away. So from the inner part of the thigh, press out and away. I'm just holding my foot, I'm not doing anything with it. Press out and away, press out and away, and again, press out and away. 2 more, out and away. Last time, press out and away, hold that press. Now lean into that press. Drop the shoulders. Breathe. Good, come back up. Take this right leg, hold that left leg as best you can, and turn the hip just a little bit. So now you're feeling it more on the outside. Don't turn your shoulders, keep your shoulders towards me. Body's nice and tall, and you're just turning. And my pants are probably too dark for the contrast, but it's gonna have to be. Body's nice and tall. You're taking your bottom leg and you're just rolling the ankle out, rolling the hip out. This is just pulling the leg across slightly with a slight downward and outward pressure. And then back in, body nice and tall. Exhale again, fold forward. Feel that stretch in that glute pocket. And then back up. Take your leg off and you're gonna cross crawl. Cross crawling again is touching them across the midline of the brain. It helps to connect the nervous system so it doesn't get too out of position, out of whack. Remember, you have 2 main nerves that go down towards your diaphragm. Your vagus nerve, which connects into your rest and digest, or your parasympathetic, which is your calming nerve, and then your phrenic nerve, which goes down into your diaphragm, which makes you excited, connects more to your adrenals, those types of things. Good, pause, take your other leg up and over, body's nice and tall, chest is lifted. Again, take your hand to the upper inner thigh, lean back if you need to get in there, and then press out and away. Press out and away. Now, very often I have problems that bring your right foot out from underneath you. Very often I have tenderness in my left hip, but I'll tell you this, my left sciatic tends to be my problem. My right hip is almost always tight. Press out, up and away, breathing. You need, hi. Oh, are you, sorry. I will be with you in a little bit. Okay. We're filming something right now. Okay. So right now you're on camera, just so you know. It's okay. Press out, up and away. Good. And pause and then lean forward. It's so fun to have people just come by and visit. It's like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Drop your shoulders. Good, and then come back up, and then pull that lower leg out. I knew she was coming, I just didn't think she'd be here like, she's early, I'm like ready to go.
Yeah.
Good, and then come back up again, nice and tall. One more time, hinge forward. Again, I'm gently pressing out and away, not just down, but I'm pressing down, out and away with my right hand on my right leg. Or if you're on your left side, that's totally fine too. It all works out on both sides. And then come back up. And then again, let's cross crawl. So we just got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Let's do that hinge over again. See if that feels a little bit better than it did before. Always the opportunity to get a little bit and then come back up. To give yourself any new baseline that you want. And then come back up. Good, go ahead and stand. If you need to sit and try to touch your toes, go ahead and sit and touch your toes, or you can stand and try to reach down and touch your toes. Again, we did very little, if no, hamstring stretches, back stretches, or anything like that. So that should feel a lot better. Very nice, you guys. Nice, Chandra. I'm going to move my chair out of the way a little bit here, or you can even check that kind of that first move that we did here, just kind of the downward facing dog or knees bent position. And then come back and in. So very often we tend to go to the space we know there is the problem. Oh, we know because it's painful. We know that there's a problem in our fill in the blank space. We know that our glute or back or shoulder or neck or knee or blah, blah, blah hurts because we've had X surgery. We've been told you don't have this, you have that. You've given a diagnosis name and that's what you live under and that's how you identify yourself as. I'm a person with this. Like, oh, are you? Well, you're not. Turns out you're still your name, your address, your telephone.